Okay, so let's begin lying down on your backs. And don't go to sleep, but give yourself a stretch. Stretch out where you need to. Maybe you need to roll around. Maybe you need to twist. Just kind of do what you need to do to get any little kinks that might be in your body from sitting all day or standing all day or running around, whatever you might have been doing. Just sort of take a moment to work it out of your body. Take a couple of deep breaths. I always do love a big inhale through the nose and just let it go through the mouth. It's very cathartic to just sigh that out. So a couple of those is always a good thing to do. And then whenever you've done that and you feel like you're kind of situated on your mat, go ahead and bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. Roll your shoulders back into the mat and just relax here for a moment. And begin to focus on the breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Option to close your eyes if you want as we just lie here for a moment and center yourself. Bringing your attention internal, casting that internal gaze over your body, over your muscles. We were talking in the beginning of class of sort of sometimes not feeling like you want to practice. Sometimes you're just tired or you're angry or you're sad or you're just de-energized and you don't want to do yoga tonight. But sometimes if you just lie on the mat or sit on the mat for a moment and do some breaths, get rid of whatever it is from the week that is causing those negative emotions, just let them go. Give them to your mat. Your mats are these wonderful absorbent materials that they can just take all that negativity from you and just suck it up, and it doesn't bother them. They can just take that anger, that sadness, that judgment, that stress, just give it to your mat. And we'll begin with some just pelvic tilts and little mini bridges. You don't have to go way up to your shoulders. So just inhaling, lifting your hips and your pelvis, coming to as high up as you're comfortable. Exhaling to lower back down. Feeling that massage on your spine as you come up, noticing how the pressure changes, maybe coming up to the shoulders. Exhaling, notice where you feel your spine reconnecting with the mat on the way down. Matching the breath to the movement, so it's really long, deep breaths, really slow exhales. Option to incorporate the arms, so as you lift the hips, the arms can reach overhead. Maybe pause and stretch if that feels good, holding the breath, and then as you exhale, bring the arms down, bring the body down. So never worrying about keeping pace with me. Moving at your own pace to your own breath. I just like to remind you to breathe. So just because I say inhale doesn't mean you have to inhale in that exact moment. I just want you to remember to inhale when it's next time for you to inhale. That holds true throughout the practice. Good, and then whenever you come up next, just go ahead and stretch up there for a moment. So reach the arms overhead, unless that doesn't feel comfortable on your shoulders. If it bothers your shoulders, bring them down. Push the hips up to the sky. Breathe in. Notice as you breathe here, you really fill your ribs, you fill your abdomen, get a big stretch. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead and lower that all the way back down. Bring your arms down too. Drawing your knees into your chest, give yourself a rock side to side. You can do a tiny little thing that will sort of work the abs, but it's more about stretching, and you can make it harder or easier on yourself. So bring your legs to tabletop. As you bring your knees closer to your body, that will let your abdominals relax, which is totally fine. As you bring your knees away from your body, your abs will have to turn on. So you decide. It's not, I'm not focusing on abs tonight, but if you feel like you want to get a little ab work, you can certainly do that. Move your arms out of the way. And then allow the knees to drop down to the side as you exhale. And then use the inhale to lift them up through center. So if you've pushed your knees away, and then over to the other side. If you've pushed your knees away, just make sure that you're using your abdominal muscles here and not your low back. If you feel it in your low back, just bring the knees closer. And again, if you just feel like your abs aren't up for it tonight, what's nice about this is it's sort of just a dynamic stretch of our low spine. I like to hold this stretch, but I also like to move through it fluidly. Really getting that low spine moving. If you want, you can move your head from side to side too, so it's going to the opposite direction, or you can just leave your head right where it is in the middle. You decide. Again, deep breaths. Exhaling, you drop those knees all the way to one side. Use the inhale to bring them up, and then whenever you exhale, drop them to the other side. And then whenever you get to whatever side you're moving to, go ahead and pause, and we'll hold that stretch for a moment. So now you can turn your head and look over the opposite shoulder. If you want, you could extend that top leg. Maybe catch it in your hand. That starts to stretch the hamstring a little bit. If your hamstrings are really tight and that doesn't work for you, you'll start to feel it in your back if you have too much tightness. So decide, but if your hand can easily catch your big toe, you could get a bit of a hamstring stretch. I've got my bottom knee bent, which is not as intense a stretch. You could certainly extend the bottom leg if you wanted a more intense stretch. Always an option. Good, and then go ahead and restack the knees. If you extended the top leg, go on over to the other side. And again, same option. Turn the head and look over the opposite shoulder. You can just leave the knees stacked. You could always extend the bottom leg, or you could extend the top leg and get, ooh, that hamstring is tight on me. You can get a hamstring stretch on this side. It's funny the differences in the sides of our bodies. I always think that mine is more exaggerated because of this whole scoliosis thing I have going on, but I know that everybody is a little bit, crooked isn't the word I want to say, but we're all a little bit uneven, you know? We all might have one leg slightly longer or one hip slightly rotated, so you'll feel tightness sometimes not in the same place on each side of your body. So just be aware of it. Sometimes maybe you have to stretch a little bit longer for that reason on one side. Good, and then go ahead and restack those knees. If you separated, bring yourself back to center. Center yourself on your mat. Go ahead and bring your hands under you so you're kind of sitting on top of your hands, and extend your legs straight up in the air. From here, take either foot, doesn't matter which, and flex your foot and lower that leg towards the floor really slowly. I want you to get a stretch here. So again, you're working your abs a little bit. Don't bring it all the way to the floor and then pull it back up. But it's also really what I'm wanting you to do is feel the stretch in your hamstring. So flex your foot and really press your heel down, 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 like you're pushing through like wet cement, and then bring it back up. And just keep alternating sides and just deep breathing through this. Inhaling and exhaling a couple of breaths on the way down. Inhaling and exhaling a couple of breaths on the way up. And again, not going all the way to the mat because I don't want you to go into your back at all. You could even just go a couple of inches. But the more you flex the foot and the more you press down against resistance, the more you're going to be stretching those hamstrings, which is what I would like you to be working on. Good, and bring it back up. And hug the knees to the chest, and give yourself a rock. And then drawing the right knee into the body, press the left leg away. Really stretch the left foot. See if you can press it down into the mat. See if you can really flex that left foot. Hug the right knee in. This is called single leg stretch or single wind release posture. It's very good for your digestion, but it's also a good one for the low back. I like to roll my ankle on that bent knee, or pointing and flexing the foot, or wagging it side to side, whatever you feel like you need. And then go ahead and extend that leg. Now, if your hamstring's quite tight, you're going to want to bend the bottom leg to create some extra space. Try to get that leg straight, and even if it's further away and you're not holding it, or this is a good opportunity sometimes for a strap or a belt, because if you have tight hamstrings, sometimes you can't comfortably hold it. If you can and you're more flexible, you could extend that bottom leg onto the mat. But try to keep the shoulders into the mat. Try not to kind of like arch up and create some tension in the upper body. And then just point and flex that extended leg. Pointing it and flexing it. If you have a strap around your foot, that's going to be potentially a little bit harder to do. That's okay. In that case, you could just flex. Good. Put in a little bit more, just give a little extra stretch for a moment. And then bend it back down, hug it back in, extend the bottom leg if it's not already. And switch. Bring the left leg in, press the right leg away. So you're actively hugging that shin and you're actively pressing away with the foot. Always deep breathing. Anytime you stretch, you want to make sure you're taking long, deep breaths. That really helps the muscles release and relax. Same thing if you want to roll the ankle. I forgot about that. And then when you're ready, go ahead and extend that leg. Same thing. So again, this is my tighter side tonight. I want to really try to press that right leg away, and I don't want those shoulders to arch up. So sometimes that means holding lower. Again, I encourage you not to tug on your knee, but you could have your hands behind your thigh and flex that foot. If you can reach, you can have your hands behind your calf or your ankle. And then point and flex the foot. And just notice what that's doing in your hamstring. When I flex it hard, I can feel it all the way down to the back of my knee, the back of my thigh, almost to where it connects to my gluteal muscle. And this muscle tends to get tight, and it can lead to back pain. And people who do a lot of kind of leg work sometimes get tight hamstrings, and it can cause injury. I have a really good friend who is in excellent shape, and we were doing trapeze, and she did trapeze, and she went into this move, and she tore her hamstring from where it connected her glutes. Oh my gosh, it was awful. She had to have surgery, and she's like an athlete. So trying to keep that flexibility is super important, even as we build strength. Okay, so last thing from lying down here on our backs, we're going to just do a pigeon stretch. So bringing your right ankle across your left thigh. So take a moment here. Sometimes I don't pause here, and it's actually a really nice stretch to, without doing anything, keep your foot on the floor, and just with your own body strength, try to push your knee away. So your ankle is here and your thigh, and you're creating that resistance, and you can actually start to feel a really nice stretch already in your hip without doing anything. So if going into pigeon is ever bothersome for you, this is perfectly fine. You're getting a really good stretch. Now try to maintain that sense of like pushing, if it just slipped, that sense of pushing away with your knee. And then if you want, go ahead and lift up that opposite thigh. In my case, I'm doing the left side, and pull it in. And I feel like you get a better stretch when you kind of start that way. So keep pushing the right knee away as you pull the left thigh in without rolling up. So your glutes are still on the mat. And then if you want, if it's handy, your elbow can press against your thigh and you can push that leg out even more. So again, take some nice long deep breaths in here. There's a style of yoga called yin yoga where you hold stretches for like a long time, maybe 10 minutes in a stretch. It can actually be kind of painful because sometimes stretches are uncomfortable, but it really can get deep stretches in the muscle, and so sometimes I forget that it's really good for us to hold these stretches for a little bit longer. So on these Wednesday classes, I want to try to do that more. Okay, so release that side. Place both feet down. I was feeling that in my back. All right, right foot on the floor, cross the left ankle over, or just do whatever one you didn't do last time. And same thing, just from here, push that knee away and see if you can start getting a stretch. Just with your feet on the floor without your hands doing anything. Just noticing that traction against the thigh. And maybe you don't feel anything. Maybe your hips are really open and doing this isn't giving you much of a stretch. And if your hips are really open, sometimes if you have some hypermobility, you don't want to stretch too deep into it, so this actually might be enough for you. Then if you want to take this up, go ahead and grab that thigh and continue pushing the knee away. Again, if the elbow can reach it and wants to press against it, that's fine. And just remember to breathe. Sometimes when we're holding these stretches, you'll go, oh wait, I'm not breathing. So just focus on that breath. Inhaling, exhaling. On every exhale, try to let that muscle release a little bit more. Muscle tension is definitely physical, but it can be emotional and mental too. So sometimes we just need to relax our mind, let go of stress, and our hips are an area that we tend to hold stress in. Okay, release out of that. Rock yourself up to sit. And extend your legs out in front of you. As always, my mat loves to wiggle towards camera. I don't know why. Extend your legs up. Inhale, extend those arms. Exhale as you stretch forward, come into Paschimottanasana and let it go. And then hold there for a full breath cycle. And whenever you next inhale, go ahead and come up again. Growing long and tall as you exhale. Release it down. Hold it for maybe a full breath cycle. Whenever you're ready, again and again, just flowing with your own pace of your own breath. That's all we're doing is inhaling, stretching into Paschimottanasana, holding that for a breath. Maybe you want to hold it for 2 breaths and then doing it again. So you don't have to move at the same pace as me. And keep going whenever you get down again, so you're extended forward. This time we'll just hold it. So no rush, just whenever you get there, just release. So again, you can flex your feet. That's going to stretch your hamstrings more. If you have tight hamstrings and your knees are bent, that's not a big deal. Just work into it. If you can reach and grab hold, you could grab your foot or your ankle or your toe. And again, if you ever want to do this with a strap, with a towel, with a t-shirt, you just hook it over your feet and pull yourself forward. I tend to not demonstrate with the strap just because I know that everybody doesn't have them. If we were in a studio, I would walk around and give you all straps. But keep one handy and just know that you can always do that here, because then you can sit up taller and you can hold that strap. I'm like a mime with my invisible strap, and you can really pull and stretch those hamstrings and work on extending the spine. Good, and then go ahead and roll yourself up. Inhale, extend the arms up overhead. As you exhale, bring them behind the body, press them into the mat. Tilt your chest towards the sky. Pull the shoulders back. Take a couple of breaths, expanding the ribs. Good, and release that. Let's come on over to hands and knees. All right, so we will go through a full sort of cow-cat series. So I think we did cow-cat on Monday's class, and I was having you really focus on your abdominal area and toning abs. Tonight, the focus is going to be more on your spine and on your spinal mobility. So I want you to really think of that spine as like a slinky, like a snake. Always starting with the tailbone and really articulating each and every vertebrae. So you've got to engage your abdominals so you don't hurt your back. But then go ahead and as you inhale, the hips press down, the back arches, move through each vertebra and then look up, chest lifts. And then beginning with the tailbone again, pull it under as you exhale. Pull that belly button up and let your head drop down and your shoulders press up. So keep moving at your own pace. So as we go through this, we'll add the arms, we'll add the legs, we'll add both. And we'll do approximately 3 of sort of each one. But if you do more or you do less or you're just behind me, don't sweat it. We'll end up in child's pose either way. So So remembering this feeling of this spinal articulation, I want you to keep that up, and then when you're ready, you can add the right leg. I don't care if you add on the inhale or on the exhale. So I'm adding on the inhale as I extend, that right leg comes up as I inhale. As I exhale, I arch up and I try to bring my knee all the way to my forehead. Inhale, the leg extends, chest lift, gaze forward. Exhale, hug it in. So we are definitely moving our spine. Tonight I'm not asking you to keep your back stable. I want you to keep that movement going. So that might have been more than 3, but whenever you're ready, you have the option of putting your knee down and just doing your arm, or add the opposite arm. So left arm, right leg. So your gaze goes with your fingers. You follow your hand into your body, and then you follow your hand as it extends out. And again, if you find you're unstable, just put your knee down and work on it just with the arm. That's totally fine. Last one, extend the arm, and if you put your knee down, see if you can lift your leg up and hold the leg and hold the arm. Now see if you can pull your belly button into neutral to protect your back, and see if you can just hold this for a moment. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Go ahead and place the knee down, and we're going to extend the arm up. So look up, twisting, up towards the sky, opening the chest, and then as you exhale, thread the needle, reaching that left arm under. And then again, twisting up, looking towards the ceiling, and then threading the needle under, letting that arm hover. Again, twisting up, opening the chest, and threading the needle through. Last time, twisting up. And then as you thread the needle through, let the arm rest on the mat. So the left arm is extended out, palm up or palm down. Your right hand can stay right where it is, or you can stretch it out in front of you. I quite like to do. You could also wrap it around behind your back, reaching towards your left thigh. You decide, and then see if you can square your hips. You'll probably notice your hips have pushed off to the right. See if you can bring them to the center. And then your left temple, your left cheek is on the mat. And just breathe into this for a moment. If your right arm is extended, probably feeling a stretch through that arm, through that shoulder. Hopefully feeling a stretch of your left shoulder. And then slide the right hand back, push yourself up, come back onto hands and knees. Same thing other side. So a couple of cow-cats just to get going. I had said 3. I think I did about 4 of each one of these. So I'll do approximately that again. But again, I'm not so worried about the number. And then after you've done a few cow-cats on either the inhale or on the exhale, add the leg. Keeping that spinal movement. That's why I like to go nice and slow on this. I want you to really focus on that movement through the spine. So even though it's slow, it's steady. You never really stop moving, but there's no jerkiness. And then again, you can either put the knee down or leave it going and add the opposite arm. So you're either just doing the right arm or you're adding the arm and the leg. If you've got knee issues, sometimes having all the weight on one knee is a lot when you add the arms, so that would be one reason not to do it. If you're unstable, your abs are sore, and then whenever you next extend, go ahead and hold it out. Again, when you're here, and we're going to hold it for a moment, pull the belly button in, see if you can find a more neutral spine just to take the pressure off the low back. Holding for a breath. And then bring the leg down, bring the arm out to the side, and then twist up towards the ceiling, opening the chest, and exhale, thread the needle through. Inhale to twist up, exhale to thread through. 2 more times. And whenever you next thread through, go ahead and release it down, let the arm rest on the mat. Again, your option to leave the left hand where it is, wrap it around behind the body, or extend it forward, and then shift the hips because they probably come off kilter. You'll just notice it's a better stretch. If your hips are kind of going off to the left, you don't get as good a stretch through your spine. If you encourage them to come back right, it should feel a bit more like there's some traction happening. It's also why I like to extend that left arm. I just feel like it stretches my back. But if it bothers your shoulder, it is not a requirement. None of it's a requirement, right? It's all optional. I can't even see you, so you could just be like sitting there watching me. Good, and then go ahead and slide that hand back. Press yourself up. Let's walk our knees back, coming to a modified plank. So now you're at an angle. Belly is still pulling in, so the hips are lifted. Take a couple breaths here. And lower all the way down to the mat. Good. Sliding the hands out, coming up into Sphinx. Shoulders down and back. So you're still quite active in Sphinx. Sphinx should hopefully feel sort of comfortable. I don't want you to feel like this is hard work necessarily. But if you're not doing anything, you're just going to kind of slouch into it. So this is not called TV watching posture. This is called Sphinx posture, which is very tall and proud. So chest is slightly lifted. Shoulders are pulling down and back. And so you're still active. You would definitely get tired if you stayed here for a very long time. Gluteal muscles are contracted. That's going to help protect our back. And we're just going to do a little neck stretch here. So turn your head and look over your left shoulder. So your head is still just neutral. It's not lifted, it's not dropped, it's just neutral, looking over the left shoulder. Now drop the chin towards the shoulder. Roll your head down so your chin goes past your chest to the other side, and then lift it to neutral so it's looking out over your right shoulder. And then simply turn it back to front. Reverse that. Turn and look over your right shoulder. Drop your chin towards your shoulder, roll your head through center, chin to chest. Bring your head up to neutral over your left shoulder, and then turn your head back to center. And then release that down, slide your hands back, push yourself up and back, and take a moment in child's pose. Let the head release down, let the arms stretch forward. Good. Coming up, bring the hands forward, curl the toes under, push yourself up, finding a downward facing dog. Jogging through, bending one knee, bending the other knee, stretching the opposite heel towards the floor. Go ahead and pause, bend one knee, it doesn't matter which, and really release the weight from that foot. So just the ball of your foot is kind of floating right on the mat, and really drive down with the other heel so you get a really good stretch all the way down your hamstring, all the way up to your hip, down to your Achilles tendon. And then switch, whatever heel is lifted, drive that one down to the mat, lift the other one up, and again, so you're barely, that foot is just sort of kickstanded there, really stretching out the other leg. So many of our shoes cause tightness, whether you wear really flat shoes, whether you wear high heels, a lot of them cause a lot of tightness in our Achilles and our hamstrings, so it's good to give them a stretch. And then go ahead and press both heels towards the mat. Think about rolling your shoulders away from your ears so you're not creating tension up there. All right, so from your down dog, extend your right leg up overhead, pressing it away for a moment. And then bring that foot forward, plant it down, release the back knee onto the mat, coming up into a crescent lunge. So inhaling, opening the chest. And then as you exhale, bring the hands to the mat and hinge back into a half splits. So we're going to flow through that, working with your own breath. Inhaling to open, pressing the hip forward, exhale to release.
Maybe holding that for a breath if that feels good.
And just keep it moving. Nice and slow and controlled. Sometimes when we're moving slowly, you'll find you lose your balance. That's okay. And if you need to hold it, you can. We're all going to hold it this next time. So as you work through this next round, as you come down into the half splits, go ahead and stay there. So this is a nice opportunity. If you have blocks, you might want your blocks beside your leg, or you could move your hands further back. Otherwise, if you're comfortable doing so, go ahead and release your leg down. You decide if foot should be pointed or flexed based on how it feels in your body. Maybe you need to move it, or maybe you can pick one and just take a few breaths there. Opening through the hamstrings. See if your hips are shifting. Mine tend to shift. Can you invite them into a more even parallel position? And then we're going to rock forward, finding a lunge. So you can leave the back knee on the mat is an option, or lift the back knee up off the mat. Find some stability as you come up, hands to heart, and we're going to twist. Left elbow either on top of or against the left thigh, and then twist to the right. So if you're unstable, drop your knee. See if you can bring your hands to heart center. Another way to gain stability would be to put one hand on the floor, your bottom hand on the floor, and maybe you could extend the top arm. So you decide what works for you. Breathe into the twist. And next time you exhale, find the mat, step the right foot back, drop down to knees, lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, scooping up to cobra, curl the toes under, press back, downward facing dog. And then let's extend that left leg up. Bring it all the way forward, plant it down, release the back knee onto the mat. And again, inhaling to come up, crescent lunge, opening the chest towards the sky. Exhale, hands find the mat, and hinging back. Continuing with your own breath, nice and slow and controlled. Maybe each movement takes more than a breath cycle. Maybe each one is one inhale, one exhale. It doesn't particularly matter, as long as you're flowing smoothly and you are breathing. The only thing you could be doing wrong here is to not be breathing. Think about opening the hip flexor, opening the chest as you come up, and think about pressing back through the hip, extending the hamstring when you sit back. And then again, go ahead and finish whatever cycle you're on. And when you next get to half splits, go ahead and hang out there for a moment, release your head down. Pointing and flexing your foot if you want, choosing to have your foot on the mat, choosing to have the foot off the mat. Pushing back through the hips, noticing if they shift, and taking a few breaths. And then go ahead and rock yourself forward, planting that foot on the mat. Pick up that back foot, so you're in a long lunge, knee over ankle. Feel free to drop that back knee if that's easier, otherwise coming up, coming to a lunge, and then twisting right elbow on or against the thigh, turning, looking up, and again, those hands just like to come up to the armpit for some reason, so see if you can bring them back down. It helps you twist more. Looking up past the shoulder. If your knee is lifted, you're driving through that back heel, creating a stretch in the hamstring. And then go ahead and bring the hands to the mat. Step the left foot back, dropping down onto knees, lowering all the way down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog.
And then go ahead and walk feet towards hands, so you're at the top of the mat, hanging over. Release your head down. Give yourself a little shake. Bend the knees deeply, drop your hips, and roll yourself all the way up. Deep inhale, extending arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers. You can't see the top, but interlace the fingers and then press up. Bring your feet close together rather than hips distance. And then go ahead and tilt over to your left, pushing your right hip out so your weight will shift to the opposite side from where you're leaning. So if you're leaning left, your right foot has more weight in it, your right hip is pushing away. Inhale back up, press those hands up and away from you. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, over to the other side. And again, if you're leaning off to your right, your weight is in your left, and you're pushing through the left hip. Good, and bring yourself back up. Bring those arms down. Let's bring hands to shoulders. And just make some circles with your arms. And make circles the other direction. Good. Just gonna do 2 rounds of sun salutation. I'll be guiding a modified version. Feel free to do the more intense version if you wish. So taking a moment, rooting yourself here, feet right under your hips, standing tall and proud, muscles engaged, shoulders down and back, chin pulled in, really thinking of that long neutral spine. Oh, I'm going to show off my t-shirt for a moment. This is my scoliosis t-shirt because it has the curve. That's what my spine looks like. So we try to eliminate that, and we try to grow tall, tall, tall. That invisible filament pulling us up by the crown of our head. Lovely posture. And on your next inhale, go ahead and extend those arms up overhead, slightly tilting back. Exhale, release all the way down to the mat. Inhale, hands slide up the shins, flat back. Exhale, hands find the mat. Inhale, right foot steps back, low lunge, and we'll do a twist from here. Right hand in the mat, left arm reaching overhead, and make 3 big circles with that left arm. Overhead, 1, 2, and 3. And then go ahead and place that hand down on the mat. Step the foot back, coming to plank, dropping down to knees, lowering all the way down, chest, chin, and hips. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Extend that right leg up, bend the knee, opening the hip here, dropping the right foot towards the opposite side, so you're stacking left hip on top of right. Bringing that right foot all the way forward, planting it down, pivoting the back foot so it plants on the mat. Right hand stays on the mat again, and now you're opening up. So you're going to that same exact side, but now you're not twisted. You're in kind of similar to a side angle bend. Taking a deep breath. Hand finds the mat, step the left foot up, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Again, inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Stepping left foot back. I stepped my right foot back. Step your left foot back. Left hand in the mat, turning and twisting. Right arm extends overhead. I was like, something doesn't feel right. I said left and I stepped right. Make big circles with the arm. 1, 2, and 3. And then find your hand on the mat, placing it down. Step the right foot back, dropping to knees, chaturanga. Up to your cobra, and down dog. Extending the left leg, dropping the left foot towards the side, lifting up through the left knee, stacking left hip on top of right. Holding there for a moment. Coming back to center, swing that leg all the way through, planting it down, pivoting the right foot, left hand stays on the mat as we open up the right arm, opening the chest towards the sky. And then bringing that hand down, step the right foot up, release the head. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, all the way up and open. Exhale, hands to heart. Good, we're gonna step with our feet wide, so you can come to the long edge of your mat, or you can just straddle your mat. You decide. We're gonna come down into our goddess, and then I want you to bring your arms against your thighs, so you're not really in goddess because your chest is no longer lifted. And you're pressing against the thighs. And then I want you to stand up against the pressure of your arms and then press back down. So you're squeezing against your arms, your elbows to extend your legs, and then you're pressing them back down. Sometimes it's easier if they're lower down. Sometimes it's easier if they're higher up. Just don't put them on your knees. So it's just coming into a squat and extending the legs up, but with that sort of pushing on the thighs with the arms to create a stretch. One more time. And then go ahead and bend the knees coming into goddess and go ahead and lift your body back up. Bring your hands to your chest, heart center. Breathing into this. So this is certainly working our muscles, no doubt about it. But hopefully you're also feeling a stretch in your inner thighs. Go ahead and lift up out of that. Pivot your feet so they're parallel. Take an inhale, extend the arms upwards. And then exhale, really extend forward, the flat back, flat back, flat back, flat back, and then release all the way down to the mat. Give your head a nod, yes. Give it a shake, no. We're going to pivot this into a variation of pyramid. So just pivot your feet towards one side. I'm going to point my right foot forward, and then the left foot's behind it on railroad tracks, and we're just hanging out over our right leg. It's more or less pyramid, but it's not, normally in pyramid we would not have a rounded spine, but I'm not super fussed about it right now. But notice if your right foot is forward, your right hip is probably shifting forward. See if you can pull your right hip back. You're going to notice a better stretch when you do that. If you had your feet really wide in the straddle, you're probably going to want to step the back foot forward so that your heel can be on the mat. And we're going to take this into a revolved triangle. So if right now, if you're not all the way on the mat anyway, if your hands are maybe on your shin, that's totally fine. They can stay there. This is another good opportunity for blocks. For those of us who are less flexible, hands could be on blocks. Hands can be on shins. We're going to take this to a revolved triangle, Parvita Trikonasana. So your left hand is going to be next to your right big toe, the opposite if your left foot is forward. And then you're going to release your left hand and twist. But this hand or your right hand and twist. This hand that's on the floor, it could be on the floor or it can be up on your calf or ankle. And your right arm could actually just be on your hip. So we could be up here. This is my modified version. As you get more flexible, if that hand can find the floor, fine. And as you get more stable, if that right arm can twist up, fine. But this is a challenging posture. It challenges the balance. So by all means, that left hand could be on a block or anything else. Good, go ahead and release that down. And pivot so you're back hanging over the center. Let your head go. Release the spine. And then pivot to the other side. So left foot forward, right foot back, or whatever one you didn't do. And just let your head and your back release down. The other thing you can do here if your hands can't find the floor is bend your front knee. So you have options. You could either, ideally I would recommend hands on blocks because that will allow you to straighten your leg. You could have hand on shin, but just be aware of your knee. I don't ever like you pushing against it. Or you can bend the knee and let your hands find the floor. Push the left hip back or whatever one is forward and pull the back hip forward. And then finding our revolved triangle. So again, right hand next to the left big toe. And then we turn our body towards the other direction. And modifying this as much as you need. If you don't have blocks, as I've said, you can always have books around. Stack some books. And if you don't want to extend that top arm, just let it be on the hip. What's important here is the spinal twist. So everything else becomes secondary. It's just kind of a complicated way of getting into a spinal twist. Parvita Trikonasana, revolve triangle. Good, release that hand down and once more pivot over to the center. And then separate those feet again so they're pretty wide apart. And go ahead and let's do some little lunges side to side. Good. And then pivot towards whatever end of your mat is your front. Step your back foot towards it, releasing down. Separate your feet, heel toeing them out, coming to a duck posture, and then bending the knees, sitting down into your deep yogi squat. Sitting up tall, chest lifted. If your heels are off the mat, that's fine. I like to push my arms against my thighs. And then go ahead and just find yourself sitting. Extend your legs. Inhale up, exhale, fold.
Last forward fold.
And bringing yourself up, bending your knees, holding onto the backs of your thighs. Roll yourself down onto the mat and draw your knees into your chest. Giving yourself a little hug and a little rock from side to side. Extend both legs up and grab hold of wherever you can reach, either thighs, calves, or ankles, and let your legs open. Dropping out to the side, stretching the inner thighs. And go ahead and bring those legs back up. Bending the knees, coming to happy baby, reaching in between the legs, grabbing feet or ankles, and rocking side to side, massaging the low back. Bring the soles of the feet together and bring the feet down onto the mat. Bringing the arms into cactus position, so we're in a really open position here with our legs in a butterfly and our arms in cactus. Closing your eyes and take a few deep breaths here. Feeling your chest and ribs expand as you inhale and as you exhale, letting the hips open, letting the shoulders open, let everything melt down. Go ahead and allow your eyes to close. And definitely take a few deep breaths, exhaling through the mouth. And once you feel relaxed and settled, just hang there for a moment. If this posture bothers you, you can move out of it. I'll move you out of it anyway in a moment, but if it's not comfortable, you can extend your legs now. Continuing to breathe deeply, so you're still focusing on your breath at the moment. You're still noticing, because you could have some tension here, so being aware of that, breathing into it, exhaling, long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. And then draw your knees together and one more time bring them into your chest, wrapping your arms around, giving yourself a hug. Hug that right knee in, extend the left leg straight up, press the heel away, lower it all the way down to the ground, pushing the heel away, coming to that single leg stretch. And then bring that knee back in, hug the left knee in, extend the right leg straight up, push that leg away, pushing, pushing, pushing against that wet cement till it comes all the way to the floor. Single leg stretch on this side.
Bring both knees in, extend both legs up, flex the feet, sit on the hands, pressing the heels away, pressing, 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 pressing. And then go ahead and just bend the knees so you don't hurt your back, lower them to the mat, and then extend them long in Savasana. Extend your arms down beside you. Separating arms, separating legs, shoulders rolling away from the ears, chin towards chest, and relax. And we'll go ahead and go through the body scan relaxation for you. So as you breathe, we'll just scan through our body, tightening and releasing the muscles to allow for relaxation. So beginning down at your toes and at your feet. As you inhale, contract the muscles of your toes and feet. And as you exhale, relax. As you inhale, moving up the body, contract the muscles of the ankles and of the calves. And as you exhale, let the legs be heavy. Inhale, squeezing the entire leg from the thigh through the knee to the calf, tightening everything, toes, everything, everything, everything. And exhale, let it relax. Bringing the focus to the glutes, into the hips, into the pelvis, contracting those muscles, squeezing tightly as you inhale, and as you exhale, let it go. Noticing the weight, the heaviness of your low body, feeling your legs sinking into the mat. Bringing your attention to your hands, squeezing your hands into fists as you inhale, and as you exhale, let your hands go. As you inhale, contract all the muscles in your arms, from your shoulders, your elbows, maybe your hands come off the mat as you tighten those muscles. And as you exhale, let them go. Let the arms be heavy in the mat. Bringing your attention to your torso, think about squeezing the muscles of your abdomen, your low back, around your ribs. And as you exhale, let it go. And bringing your attention to your chest and your shoulders, contracting those muscles, holding that breath, and as you exhale, let it go. Feeling the heaviness of your arms on the mat, feeling the heaviness of your torso on the mat. Maybe your fingers curl gently inwards towards your palms as they relax. Maybe your feet flop open as they relax. And bring your attention without contracting anything, just bring your focus to your shoulder blades, up your neck, into your jaw. Notice if you're holding tension. And exhale and let it go. Let go of tension in your cheeks, your lips, your tongue, your eyes. Are you squeezing your eyes shut, or are they just gently closed? Let go of your temples, your forehead, and all the way out the top of your head. Allow your breath to just come in and out gently through the nose, feeling your breath on the nostrils. Every exhalation allows your body to get heavier and to sink deeper into the mat. Imagine all the systems of your body, your digestive system, your heart, pumping blood through your body, your lungs, bringing oxygen to the heart, your brain always working, all of the systems working perfectly in tandem without you having to do anything about it. And exhale and just release any last lingering tension.
And then begin to bring awareness back to the body, wiggling fingers and wiggling toes, rolling wrists and rolling ankles, rolling your head from side to side. Gently drawing your knees towards your chest and giving yourself a rock. And rolling over to either side. Coming to the fetal position, taking a moment there to pause. Giving yourself a moment of love and gratitude. And then pressing yourself up, finding yourself in a seated position that's comfortable, arms resting in your lap, eyes gently closed. We'll do one short breathing exercise, one short pranayama. It's meant to be a relaxing breath. So we've done alternate breathing, but this is actually just going to be left nostril breathing. So bringing your right thumb against your right nostril and just releasing the rest of your hand down. Your fingers can curl against your palm of your hand if you'd like. We're just going to inhale through the left side. Hold that breath and exhale to the left side. Again, inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Hold at the bottom of the exhale for as long as you can, releasing your hand down. And then when you need to, take a deep breath through both nostrils. And open your mouth and let it go. And just sit for a moment with that. When we do alternating breathing, it's to bring balance to the body. Right nostril breathing is meant to energize you, and left nostril breathing is meant to relax you. Finding stillness for a moment. Your breath gentle. Your face soft. Inhale, bringing hands to heart center, pressing the palms together. Light in me honors light in you. Om Shanti Om. Namaste. And thank you so much for sharing your practice with me.